Hello, sweet besties. Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Lucy Chronicles. Today we are wrapping up December. Okay, December was a very successful reading month for me. I read 14 books. That is a record. I also beat my record of 5 stars that I gave away in a month. I gave away 7 5-stars in the month of December. That is like half of the books I read were 5 stars. So very good reading month. We are going to start by going through the bingo board. The first spot on the bingo board is a book with Christmas in the title. And for that, Steve selected A Christmas Carol. I'm pleased to say I did read this. This was a reread for me. I read this every year around the holidays. So good, one of my all-time favorites. It is Dickens, it is Old English, it is a little tougher, but it is beautiful, and yeah, I just love it. 5 stars. Okay, the second spot on the bingo board is a book that's been on your TBR since last Christmas. For this one, Steve selected The Kite Runner, and I actually did start reading this. I got to chapter 4, and I just realized it really wasn't giving me Christmas vibes. It's so heavy, y'all. And I really didn't want to be reading something like that in what's supposed to be the most joyful time of year. So I did shelf this. It is going to stay on my TBR. I am going to try to read this in 2025 because the writing is very good. I will say I did notice some language. I am going to proceed with caution, but I did not get this done for the prompt. Instead, I actually read Hidden Christmas by Timothy Keller. This is nonfiction. This has been on my TBR for several Christmases. My mom read this a while ago and she really, really liked it, but I'm going to be adding this to my repertoire of books that I want to read every year around the holidays. From pastor and New York Times bestselling author Timothy Keller comes The Perfect Gift for the Christmas Holiday, a profoundly moving and intellectually provocative examination of the nativity story. Every Christmas displays of baby Jesus resting in a manger decorate lawns and churchyards, and songs about shepherds and angels fill the air. Yet how many of us have examined the hard edges of this biblical story? In Hidden Christmas, Timothy Keller takes readers on an illuminating journey into the surprising background of the Nativity. By understanding the message of hope and salvation with the Bible's account of Jesus' birth, readers will experience the redeeming power of God's grace in a deeper and more meaningful way. I highly recommend. 5 stars. Okay, third space on the bingo board is to read a holiday romance. I read several of those. But for this prompt, I just went with A Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh. I'll put a picture here. I read this on my Kindle Unlimited. Lauren Richmond isn't a fan of Christmas, which is why she rarely makes the trip home to the Midwest for the holidays. After all, she has plenty to keep her busy, namely her duties as a set director on a TV sitcom. But this December, Lauren's brother and his wife are expecting a baby, so her brother arranges a ride home for her with his good friend Will. Unfortunately for Lauren, she's been trying to forget college baseball coach and childhood crush Will Sinclair for more than 10 years. Now, thanks to her fear of flying, she's stuck in a car with him from California to Illinois. She's circumspect and organized. He's flirty and spontaneous. She's convinced that people don't change. He's trying to prove to her that he has. On this cross-country road trip, they'll both discover that history doesn't exactly repeat itself. But like any good Christmas carol, it does have a second verse. This was very cute. I did give it 4 stars. I don't really remember why I didn't give it 5 stars. It was a while ago that I read it, but it was very cute. The second book, A Cross-Country Wedding, is about Lauren's best friend, Maddie, and Maddie's guy best friend, Simon. And so it's a best friends to more, close proximity, those tropes, which I also really like. So it was very, very cute. Okay, next little square is to read the nativity story, and I did read that out of the Bible. Middle square is a free space. It's your Christmas gift to you, so you can read any book that you want to. So I went ahead and just put The Cross Country Wedding in the middle square there, just so they're both on the bingo board because they're both cute. Okay, next square is a festive cover. For this one, Steve chose The Baxter Family Christmas, and I got lots of comments saying that this does have spoilers for some of the other Baxter books that I haven't read yet, and so I decided to shelf this until next year. I am going to make a point to read all the Baxter books in 2025 so that come Christmas of 2025, I can read this. Steve gave me permission to shelf this. It's a really cute cover though. He was not wrong. It's very festive. So in lieu of that, I actually ended up reading Ginger Bear's First Christmas. So this is just a little kid's book, but it's very nostalgic to me because my mom used to read this to me and my sister every year. And it's just so cute. Like, I want to show you these little bears. Aren't they so freaking precious? Look at it. You're a little hiding in the presents. But it's just about these little gingerbread cookies, ginger bear cookies, that come to life on Christmas Eve and help this family get ready for Christmas while they're sleeping. And it's just so cute. Yeah, this was 5 stars. Love, love, love. Okay, the next square is to read a book that has been adapted into a movie and then go and watch the movie. And so for this one, Steve chose How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I did read this. This is another one that I read every year. But like, his writing is magical. It's like whimsical. And the story, the message behind the Grinch, I think is so beautiful. And we did watch the movie. We watched the original like classic cartoon, because that's the one that we own. And in my opinion, it's the superior adaptation. It's just so good. 5 stars. Can't stomach giving Dr. Seuss anything less than 5 stars. Next spot on the bingo board is to read a book with snow on the cover, and Steve selected Cold Pursuit by Nancy Neal. I did not get to this. I am shelving it. I am hoping to read this in January. It is on my radar. I just think it's like the perfect January read. I have a couple other books that I am trying to get through in January before I pick this one up, but this one very much intrigues. Ex-FBI profiler River Ryland still suffers from PTSD after a case went horribly wrong. Needing a fresh start, she moves to St. Louis to be near her ailing mother and opens a private investigation firm with her friend and former FBI partner, Tony St. Clair. They're soon approached by a grieving mother who wants them to find out what happened to her teenage son, who disappeared 4 years ago. River knows there's almost no hope the boy is still alive, but his mother needs closure, and River and Tony need a case, no matter how cold it might be. But as they follow the boy's trail, which gets more complicated at every turn, they find themselves in the path of a murderer determined to punish anyone who gets in his way. As River and Tony race to stop him before he kills again, an even more dangerous threat emerges, stirring up the past that haunts River and plotting an end to her future. It sounds so good, and I really am hoping to get to this in January because it's one that he selected for me. So, all right. Then the last space on the bingo board is to read a Christmas mystery book. And so for that one, Steve selected Christmas Cupcake Murder by Joanne Fluke. I think this cover is absolutely stunning. And if you notice, this actually will hit a lot of the other prompts on the bingo board. It's got Christmas in the title. It's got snow on the cover. It's a very festive cover. This has been on my TBR for several Christmases. And it's a Christmas mystery. So I love the Hannah Swenson books, the series. I love the movies. I love all of the books that I've read so far. They're all very nostalgic to me because they all take place in Minnesota. And they all have recipes, which I love. And the characters are very fun, the cast of characters, and like, you know, it's your typical cozy mystery. You know, the writing isn't necessarily like the most profound, deep, exquisite writing you'll ever read, but it's still really cute and just cheesy enough to suit me most of the time. I can't really say why without spoiling anything, but all you have to know is that it just didn't hit me the same way that her other books have hit me. And I was kind of bored, and I was on the precipice of, I almost DNF'd this, y'all. I almost DNF'd it. But then because of how many prompts it was going to fulfill, and because of how far behind I was with the readathon when I picked this up, I pushed through. It just wasn't the same. I'm not unhauling it, and I'm still going to continue to read the Hannah Swenson books because I love her, but I'm going to keep it because it's got the recipes and because the cover's so cute. Yeah, 3 stars. I was very disappointed. Another book that Steve had, just in case, is Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. This is a little bind up of 3 holiday romances, but they're all kind of intertwined, like they all go together. I read this several years ago for when I did my 12 Days of Christmas readathon on my channel when I was part of Secular BookTube. I'll link the announcement down below because I think I still have it on my channel here. And Ava was part of that. So anyway, I ended up reading this and I was vlogging about it, and I remember just raving about how much I loved it and how cute it was, and like I really liked it. I think I gave it 5 stars back then. So I wanted to reread this just because I couldn't remember if there was content. And one of the things that I'm trying to do in 2025 is go through my shelf and reread some of the books that I've read that I liked in the past that probably are going to hit me differently, so that I can unhaul them and make room for books that I love. And this is one of those books that I really wanted to do that with. I read them in order. So the Maureen Johnson book is first, and I did finish that. And that was very cute. Little to no swearing in the Maureen Johnson book. In fact, I would be interested in reading other stuff by her. Like it was actually very cute. I think I gave like 3.5 to 4 stars in. The second book is by John Green. That's like right smack dab in the middle. Like right off the bat, he's taking the Lord's name in vain. There's an F word. He's talking about, he's making derogatory comments and just sexual innuendos. And I just didn't like that. And so I DNF'd the John Green book. And it makes me nervous because I've like a handful of others by him on my shelf that I've been wanting to read because everyone says that he's so good. But now I'm nervous that it's all going to be full of the filth that is in this book. And part of me doesn't even want to pick it up. Part of me just wants to unhaul and get rid of them. But let me know if you are in Christian BookTube and you've read any John Green, if you can attest to any content or what you think, because I'd be curious to hear. All right, and then the last little book is by Lauren Miracle, and this was, I did finish it. A little bit of swearing, a little more than I appreciate usually, but not so much that I had to DNF it. Also some innuendos and stuff like that, but I did make it through the Lauren Miracle one. I would say Maureen Johnson's my favorite. Lauren Miracle would be my second. John Green was my least favorite of the 3. But the only one I'm really interested in reading more from is Maureen Johnson. The Lauren Miracle was okay. I didn't hate it. It was just, I just don't really think I have an interest to read anything more from her. It just kind of towed the line for me as far as language goes. This was about a 3 star for me. 3 star for me. This is going to get unhauled, y'all. I'm really sad to say it. I think I'm just going to put this into the little free library that's down the street for me. Get it off my shelf. And it's really only because of the John Green book. I just really don't want that stuff on my shelf. It makes me really sad. Why do they need to put that into these stories? Like, it ruins them. It does not make them better, in my opinion. And so I'm very sad, but I mean, the cover's stunning, isn't it? But very sad. Okay. Another Christmas book that I did not get to is the Max Lucado. This will be going on my TBR for Christmas 2025. So these 2 right here, I am hoping to get to in Christmas of 2025. I love Max Lucado. There's another book on my shelf by him that I really want to read. So I also read A Cliche Christmas by Nicole Deese. Let's kind of transition into the books not associated with the readathon. This was a second chance, small town. She writes Hallmark movies. He's like this handyman. There's like this history. Her and her grandma have plans to go on this like cruise, but she volunteers, Georgia, the main girl, she volunteers her to come home and help direct the Christmas pageant that's going to be kind of like a fundraiser for this little girl with cancer. And obviously Georgia can't say no to a little girl with cancer, so she agrees to come home. And then she meets Weston, runs into Weston, old flame, old crush, history there, second chance. I picked this up because Nicole Deese. That's the main reason I picked it up. I love Nicole Deese's writing. I say that like I've read so much by her. I've read the Mackenzie duology, but I loved it so much. And the writing was so good and just impressed me so much that I was like, I need to read everything by her. And so I thought it was like the perfect time to try a little Christmas book by her. I was a little bit let down, y'all. Like, the writing's really good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's still Nicole Deese. The writing is still really, really good. The romance just fell a little flat for me. And it's probably because I don't love Second Chance. I don't hate it because I've read some Second Chances that were done really well. So I'm not necessarily like saying that that's the reason I didn't like the book. I just don't think she did it well. And I didn't love either of the characters that much, if I'm being honest. The little subplot about the little girl with cancer was absolutely adorable. I freaking loved that. So, and that's why I think I gave it like a 3.5 stars. Otherwise, I think if it weren't for that, it would have been even less than that for me. It's the first in a series, and I didn't hate it enough that I'm not going to continue the series. I think I'm going to read the second book. I do believe it's about Weston's sister, who happens to be the little girl's mom that has cancer. And so I am very curious to read more about the little girl and her mom and everything like that. So I do plan to continue the series, but this one just didn't do it for me. It just didn't hit me the same way that the Mackenzie duology did, and so it was only 3 stars. And then I read Cabin Crush by Casey Stockton. This is another little holiday romance. This one follows Rachel and Max, and their parents, like her parents and his parents, have been really close friends for several years. And so every year at Christmas, their families go on a little Christmas vacation together, and they do Christmas together. Like, they exchange gifts, they do the tree, they do a big feast, and like, it's really, so it's like a family tradition for both sides. And Max and Rachel have a history. They have a hurt, they have a history. We get the brother's best friend's sister trope. We've got the second chance again, and we've got forced proximity. And I think she still did it better than Nicole Deese, but it wasn't as good as Courtney Walsh's second chance with Lauren and Will. I like Casey Stockton's writing, though. I will tell you that. I did enjoy the writing, and I do want to read more from her. It was clean. It's not Christian, but it's clean, and it's obviously contemporary romance. So this was about 3.5 stars for me. I liked it better than A Cliche Christmas, but I did not like it as well as the Courtney Walsh. And then the other final book that I read for Christmas was Southern Snow by B.R. Goodwin. I don't know if I liked this or A Cross Country Christmas better. I liked them both a lot. I still think I might like Courtney Walsh better, but this one was a very close second as far as like the authors that I read this month. B.R. Goodwin is a Christian author, and this is considered Christian fiction. So in this one, we follow another girl named Georgia and Lake. And Lake is like a celebrity of some sort. I think he's an athlete. I can't really remember what he's famous for. But she and him have a little bit of a history. And so it's another second chance. I read a lot of second chances this month. It's really kind of crazy because it's not my favorite trope, but Georgia is a marketing exec in LA, I believe, or Portland, Oregon, somewhere out west. And her dad has a heart attack, so she goes home to help her parents run the coffee shop, the family business, and help her dad recoup and help them get back on their feet, if you will. So she goes home to this small town, to her hometown called Sugar Plum, I believe, Sugar Creek, Sugar something. And she is not aware that Lake has moved home as well. It took me a while to get into this, and the only reason I picked this up is because I heard Anne from In Search of Wonder talk about it, and she made it sound so good. And let me tell you, every book I've picked up that Anne has talked about, every book I've picked up because of Anne, I've enjoyed. So I was very excited to read this because it's a little contemporary romance. It's about coffee, and Anne recommended it. So I was like, I'm gonna love this. I had a hard time getting into it at first. I was like, this is a little slow. It's a little cheesy. The writing's just a little off for me. I don't love Georgia. I didn't love any of the supporting characters at first. And it just, I almost DNF'd it. Not gonna lie to you. But about halfway through, it took a turn for the better. And I ended up really, really, really loving this. It was just so cute. It was just so well done. And it's the first in a series of 4. I think there's like a different book for each season of the year. I think they're all going to be about Georgia's siblings. Each sibling's going to get a book. And I'm very excited. I'm very here for it. So there are a couple of books, a few books that were not Christmas related. So that I read in December. So I just want to quickly touch on those. The first one is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first book in the Naturals series. 17-year-old Cassie Hobbs is a natural at reading people. Piecing together the tiniest details, she can tell you who you are and what you want. But it's not a skill that she's ever taken seriously. That is until the FBI comes knocking. They've begun a classified program that uses exceptional teenagers to crack infamous cold cases, and they need Cassie's help. What Cassie doesn't realize is that there's more at risk than a few unsolved homicides, especially when she's sent to live with a group of teens whose gifts are as unusual as her own. Soon it becomes clear that no one in the Naturals program is what they seem. And when a new killer strikes, danger looms close. Caught in a lethal game of cat and mouse with a killer, the Naturals are going to have to use all their gifts just to survive. 5 stars. I loved everything about this. The cast of characters is amazing. The writing is really, really good. It's first person past tense, which is my favorite way to read. And I was never bored. I was on the edge of my seat. Didn't see the end coming. Didn't guess who the killer was. When I thought I knew who the killer was, I was wrong. Yes, 5 stars. I picked up Corduroy. I saw this in a little free library, and I was just like, this is so cute. Like, it's just so cute. I mean, Corduroy, he's a little bear that's missing a button. And a little girl comes and she wants to buy him, but mom won't let her because he's missing a button. And so she has to leave him. And Corduroy's very sad. And so he decides to go on a hunt through the mall to try to find his missing button. It's so cute, you guys. And he sees one on a mattress. He thinks that that's his missing button. And he ends up falling, knocking over things, making a loud noise. Security guard comes. He has to pretend to freeze. And the guy takes him back to the store, puts him back on the shelf. The little girl comes back because she's been saving her money. And she buys Corduroy with her saved money. And she takes him home and sews on a new button. It's just the cutest little story. And this is my girl Cece's favorite kids book of all time. And so that's part of the reason why I picked it up when I saw it in the little free library. Because I'd never read it. And I'm so glad I picked it up. And I absolutely loved it. 5 stars. I can't not give Corduroy 5 stars, y'all. Just can't. Like, are you kidding me? Okay, last book I want to talk about was a buddy read this month. And I buddy read this with Celestria, speaking of Cece, and Nikki over at Writing for Jesus. And we buddy read Across the Ages by Gabriel Meyer. This is the 4th book in the Timeless series, and I know it's super hyped. I know it's so trending right now. I know everyone and their mom is talking about this series, and I'm usually the unpopular opinion, but y'all, I am sold. I am sold on this series. It is so good. She is brilliant at this craft. Writing faith. The way she just reminds you over and over and over again that God has a plan. He sees the big picture. Even when we think things are hopeless, even when we think there's no way this is going to end well, He is faithful. I love this series. This was 5 stars. I think I rounded up, but it was closer to like a 4.5 for me. There was one thing in the story that I felt didn't get tied, and I feel like they didn't like elaborate on it enough, and that's the main reason it's not a full 5 stars for me. But the book, the writing, the story, the characters, it's so good, you guys. I'm sold. I'm just sold. The second book is still my favorite of the series. I love it so, so much. Probably because we got 3 different point of views, or 3 different timelines. But so if you don't know the premise of the Timeless series, we follow this lineage of people who have this ability to, they have 2 lives, 2 very distinct lives. And they go to sleep in one life, wake up in the next life, it's the same day. So they have to repeat the same day in both lives. And when she goes to sleep in the second timeline, she wakes up in the other timeline and no time has passed. So it's a very unique and creative twist on time travel because she has no control over how much time she spends in each life. She has to spend equal time in both. And there are different rules and everything like that, obviously. But like, it's so fresh and unique and wonderful. And I love it. And again, this was 5 stars. I rounded up to 5 stars on Goodreads, but like I said, I did take that tiny, tiny bit of a star away just because of that one thing that I feel like they didn't expand on enough. They didn't elaborate on enough. But one of the timelines, the 1927, takes place in Minnesota. That was so fun because all of the references to like Como Zoo and like Broadway Street, I think, and just it was just so, I just loved it. It was so good. So good. Okay, guys, so that is my reading wrap up for December. Thank you so, so much for watching. I hope you had a very beautiful Christmas and a wonderful New Year. I cannot believe it's 2025 already. That's just insane to me. Insane. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in the readathon. A special shout out to all of my co-hosts. I love you all and I appreciate you all so, so much. I hope you have a beautiful day and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.